Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi guys, my name is Dita Pratiwi and I'm from English Literature Class B. So in this video, I would like to describe a little bit about organ of speech with this diagram. So I will analyze the name of the organ of speech with this diagram. So let's get started. For number one is nasal cavity. The nasal cavity is a large air-filled space above and behind the nose in the middle of the face. In oral sounds, most air is expelled via the oral cavity or mouth. Typically, the volume is raised at the back of the mouth to block the passage of air into the nasal cavity. In nasal sounds, on the other hand, the volume is lowered to allow airflow through the nasal cavity. In English, nasal consonants are accompanied by the blocking of airflow through the oral cavity. Number two is alveolar ridge. An alveolar ridge is basically a hard ridge behind the upper front of teeth. It is between the roof of the mouth and the upper teeth. For the sound S, air from the lungs passes continuously through the mouth, but the tongue is raised sufficiently close to the alveolar ridge to cause friction as it partially blocks the air that passes. Moreover, sounds made with the tongue touching here, such as the and the, are called alveolar. Number three is hard palate. Hard palate is a thin horizontal bony plate of the skull located in the roof of the mouth. It is often called the roof of the mouth. Its smooth curved surface can be felt with the tongue. The interaction between the tongue and the hard palate is essential in the formation of certain speech sounds, notably the, and j. Number four is soft palates. Soft palates, or the volume, is in a position that allows air to pass through the nose and through the mouth. Often in speech, it is raised so that air cannot escape through the nose. Its main function is to separate the nasal cavity from the oral cavity in order to produce oral speech sounds. If this separation is incomplete, air escapes through the nose during speech, and the speech is perceived as hypernasal. The other important thing about the volume is that it's the one of the articulators that can be touched by the tongue. When we make the sound k and g, the tongue is in contact with the lower side of the volume, and we call this velar consonants. Next is number 5. Number 5 is teeth. The small wedge structure found in the jaws in front of the mouth immediately after lips are teeth. They are responsible for creating sounds, mainly the labiodental, which is tongue touching the front of teeth, for example, f and v, and linguodental, for example, th and the. Number 6 and number 7 is the tongue. The tongue is very important articulators, and it can be moved into many different places and different shapes. Its movement in the oral cavity plays an important part in the production of almost every speech sounds. Usually, it is divided into different parts, which is tip, blade, front, back, and root. For number 6, it is tip tongue, and number 7 is front tongue. Next is number 8. Number 8 is uvula. The hanging pole's full name is the platen uvula, referring to its location on your soft palate. It functions in tandem with the back of the throat, the palate, and air coming up from the lungs to create a number of guttural and other sounds. In many languages, it closes to prevent air from escaping through the nose when making some sounds. Next is number 9. Number 9 is pharynx. Pharynx is the cavity between the root of the tongue and the walls of the upper throat. Next is number 10. Number 10 is glottis. The combination of vocal folds and space in between the folds is known as glottis. As the vocal folds vibrate, the resulting vibration produces a buzzing quality to the speech called voice or voicing or pronunciation. Sounds production involving only the glottis is called glottal. An example of these sounds is h, h. The vibration process is an essential component of voices, consonant as well as vowels. If the vocal folds are drawn apart, air flows between them causing no vibration, as in the production of voiceless consonants. The glottis is also important in the folds of a maneuver, such as voiced consonants include v, z, j, d, b, d, g, w. Voiceless consonants include f, s, sh, ch, th, p, t, k, and h. Next is number 11. Number 11 is vocal folds. There are two thin sheets of tissue that stretch in V-shaped fashion from the front of the back of the larynx. These are called the vocal folds. The vocal folds can be positioned in different ways to create speech sounds. Air passes through the vocal folds. If the vocal folds are open, the air pieces obstructed, the vocal folds do not vibrate. Sounds that produce this way are called voiceless. But if the vocal folds are held together and tense and air doesn't pass unobstructed, the sounds produced this way is called voiced. Number 12. Number 12 is larynx. The larynx, more commonly known as the voice box or Adam's apple, is crucial in the production and differentiation of speech sounds. The larynx is located at exactly the point where the throat divides between the trachea or the windpipe, which leads to the lungs, and the esophagus, the tube that carries food or drinks to the stomach. Next is number 13. Number 13 is epiglottis. The fold of tissue below the root of the tongue is epiglottis. The epiglottis helps cover the larynx during swallowing, making sure that the food goes into the stomach and not the lungs. A few languages use the epiglottis in making sounds. So I think that's enough from me. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'm sorry for any mistakes that I made in this video. So thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.